After being scammed by Chime and looking at their poor Better Business Bureau report, I thought I would look at the Better Business Bureau ratings for a bunch of different banks. So I went through all the big banks, and then I added the fintechs that were available to use. So the one fintech that I added that I could actually add is Vero Money. Now Vero Money has their own FDIC insured bank. They're not using a third party like Wealthfront or Chime. So I was able to add this to the rating. Now they have a A rating from the Better Business Bureau, but they have the worst rating. They have the worst rating out of all of them. When you look at the total number of complaints in the last 3 years, 1,900, when you compare this number of complaints over the last 3 years to their total assets, this was the worst out of all of them. Like many times worse than the worst one. So I think that this Better Business Bureau rating doesn't really matter. The customer rating doesn't really matter so much. And the reason I say that is, here's how the Better Business Bureau rating system is determined. Better Business Bureau ratings are not a guarantee of business's reliability or performance. So that right there tells me that this is not a very good measure, because I found lots of these that had lots of complaints. Like this is the worst one and it still has an A rating. It should have an F rating. Here's some more details about the Better Business Bureau rating. Now it says here, customer reviews are not used in the calculation of the Better Business Bureau letter grade rating. A plus is the highest, F is the lowest. In some cases it'll be no rating. This is some of the information they use. The complaint history with the Better Business Bureau, number of complaints, if the complaints have been filed, whether in the Better Business Bureau opinion, whether it's been appropriately responded to, the age of the resolved complaints, type of business, time in business, transparent business practices, failure to honor commitments with Better Business Bureau, licensing and government actions known, failure of the business to have required competency licensing, government actions, advertising issues. Now some of these are just related to the Better Business Bureau. So of course if somebody uses the Better Business Bureau name improperly, they can get some strikes. Here's the specific rating points. Complaint volume 15 to 0. This could be the maximum or minimum points earned. Unanswered complaints. Failure to honor mediation, arbitration, competency licensing. Here's the letter grade scale. From 97 to 100 is A+. F is 59. And if you look at the customer reviews, so the customer reviews is different than the customer complaints. Customer reviews could just be people ranting that have already solved their problems or they don't need their problems solved. When you look at the customer complaints, these are people that want the help of the Better Business Bureau to solve an unresolved problem. So any of these problems, these are the most serious problems. These are the ones that I'm most concerned about. So I think this divided by the total deposits or total assets of the bank is going to give the best measure of just how many problems a bank has. Here you have the names of the banks, the total assets of the banks in billions of dollars, the Better Business Bureau rating, and you'll see this is pretty much meaningless. The Better Business Bureau complaints, the number of complaints that they have. So this one here has 4,300, this one has 6,000. This is over a 3-year period. And then I have the complaints per $1 billion in assets. So it's basically this number of complaints divided by the total assets. And it's not a perfect measure. Some of these banks, like JP Morgan Chase, has multiple branches. Some people may actually give the Better Business Bureau rating to a particular branch and not the main company. So in that regard, I think the brick and mortar are going to have a slightly higher rating than the internet-only banks. And we look at the rating here. This is the rating, the customer rating from the customer reviews that the customers gave. Most of these, the only one that's really fairly high is Regions Financial, and Regions Financial, SoFi, and right here near the top, Charles Schwab. So Charles Schwab operates a bank and a credit card business, so that's why they're here. But the other ones, they're all around 1. Some of them have F, some of them have A's. But you'll notice that some of them have lots of complaints and they still have an A. If you look at Bank of America, they have an A plus rating, but they have 7,600 complaints. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo and Citigroup have an F rating, and they actually have slightly less complaints. Now, I've sorted this by the least amount of complaints. These are not the largest banks at the top. The largest is JP Morgan. This has got 3.6 trillion. Bank of America is 3 trillion. Wells Fargo 1.8. But I have the least amount of complaints. This one is a branch bank, but they mostly internet bank. And it has, I think, a 4.8 or 4.85% APY. Now, this one had the lowest out of all of them. It had a 0.0000049%. Out of the large banks, Charles Schwab was also very good. Texas Capital, which owns Basque Bank, was also very good. And out of the large banks, JP Morgan was the best at 119. There's several zeros in front of that. Then you have KeyCorp, BMO, Bank of America. Bank of America and Wells Fargo did worse than JP Morgan. But then again, JP Morgan has a big investment management business. So that means a lot of their assets are not going to be linked to a lot of end-to-end customers. So that's probably one of the reasons for their higher rating. But Citigroup had a very high, if we look at the number of complaints Citigroup had, they had quite a few. Citigroup had a lot of complaints. US Bank was also, out of the larger banks, US Bank is, I think, considered a mid-sized bank, but it also did very poorly. If we look at this rating here, 757, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was quite a bit higher than JP Morgan. Now, when we look at the very bottom, these are the absolute worst ratings. So you have Fifth Third Bank, which has always been kind of known as having a lot of issues. But the ones near the bottom, you'll notice that they're mostly credit card companies. Synchrony Financial, which has a lot of store credit cards. SoFi, which has a lot of student loans. They also have credit cards. Capital One, Discover, American Express. You'll notice a lot of those are credit cards. And you also have Barclays. Look at Capital One has 10,000 complaints. 10,000. But the absolute worst was Vero Money. Now, this one is not even in the 3 comma club.
No, 3 commas. Know what has 3 commas in it, Richard?
A sentence with 2 appositive phrases in it?
No, $1 billion. Yeah, I'm in the 3 comma club.
But this is $563 million in assets. So, for example, the next largest bank, SoFi, has 19 billion. SoFi over a 3-year period only had 1,027 complaints. This one is about 40 times smaller than SoFi, and it's had almost twice as many complaints. So when you look at this number, there's only 3 zeros in front of this one, whereas the ones near the top, you've got 6 zeros in front. So this is way worse. And this one also has a 4 rate. This one has one of the highest ratings. So I don't know if they paid for this kind of rating to have people give it a better rating. They also have an A rating. To have the most amount of complaints per dollar of asset, I don't think they should have an A rating. I don't think this should be a 4. So I think this is the most important number. And if we look at the chart here, you'll see Valley National Bank on the far left. This is the least amount of complaints. Then you have Charles Schwab, Texas Capital, JP Morgan, KeyCorp, BMO, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup. Then as you've got PNC, Regions, Citizens, US Bank here. So US Bank, out of the larger banks, it's one of the worst. Then we start getting into the credit card companies. You've got Ally Financial, didn't do very well. FNBO, First National Bank of Omaha, that's the credit card company. They're not very good. Barclays, Capital One, you see that the complaints go up, tremendously when you get to the credit cards. Discover also had a lot of complaints. American Express, Synchrony Financial, And I didn't put Vero on here because the numbers are so high, it's going to mess up my chart. It's going to be way off the page. So definitely, if you're thinking about joining Vero Money, you may want to reconsider after looking at the ratings. There's issues with account closures, just like I had with Chime. There's issues with Vero, just like Chime has with premature account closures, where the company just closes their account one day for no reason. And I've read a lot of stuff about identity theft, hacking. Here's one. This bank is horrible. Please do not trust your money with them. They closed my account the exact same day my tax refund was deposited. They didn't give me a reason for why they closed the account. Bank has closed the account with all of our money in it. No reason given. After you wait on hold, you are told to email it, and it can take days before a response is given. They say they will mail you a check, but no timeline on where your money is. Awful, awful. Here's one. Open an account, never used. Then a year or two later, they closed the account with no reason why. One day, they just suspended my account. Hold my fund and can't speak to a live person. I have to pay my mortgage, and they made me late because they froze my account. Okay, here's some more reviews on Vero Bank. This bank is the most unprofessional. They offer no phone customer service, and tech support is horrible and rude. Not worth using anymore. My deposits are posting later and later. Here's more issues with accounts shut down. Out of the blue, they shut down my wife's account that still had a balance. Closed my account for no reason. I had an account for 3 years and never had an issue. One morning I woke up, went to the store, and my card was declined. I tried logging in, I got a message my account was closed. Vero sucks. Every month it seems like I'm locked out of my account, or as they put it, it's temporarily suspended. Shady. Closed my account for inactivity. Vero Money is having financial problems. Despite raising almost $1 billion, you see here $992 million, they're still struggling. They're still losing money. This was from about a year ago. It says the first chartered neobank could run out of money by year end. Now this mentions the burn rate, the amount of money that they're losing. It cost them $100 million to become a FDIC insured bank, it says. If you look at the income statement here, 2022, they're losing anywhere from $40 million, and the losses in the last year were up over $80 million per year loss. Now they did raise some money this year in 2023, but the company's not worth as much, so they're struggling to raise as much money. So it says here that Vero raised $50 million. And this article's from 2023. If Vero runs out of money, that's actually, for people that have been scammed by Vero, that's actually a good thing, because if they run out of money, the FDIC is going to quickly step in and they're going to get their money. If you've been swindled or scammed by Vero and the account's been closed prematurely, you could be waiting months and months to get your money, just like I'm probably going to be waiting for months to get my money with Chime. So, if this bank goes out of business, the people that have been scammed by Vero, they would be better off probably than if they just scam them and then they're going to have to wait weeks or months to get their money back. But anyways, that's my video for today. Please make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified when I put out new content. And also feel free to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Have a good one.